Welcome, bienvenidos, benvindu to the Soccermetrics Copa Libertadores Show, a production of Soccermetrics and Soccer Down Here, the only English language podcast devoted to South America's premier club competition. I'm your host, Howard Hamilton, the founder of Soccermetrics. The first legs of the round of 16 have concluded, and in this episode, I'll tell you what happened and set the scene for the return legs next week. First, a rundown of this week's results. And we start in the top half of the bracket with Quadrant 1, San Lorenzo de Almagro 1, Atletico Mineiro 1, Gremio 2, Fluminense 1. And Quadrant 2, Colo-Colo 1, Junior de Barranquilla 0. Talleres de Cordoba 0, River Plate 1. And the bottom half of the bracket, Quadrant 3, Nacional de Montevideo 0, Sao Paulo 0, Botafogo 2, Palmeiras 1. Quadrant 4, Flamengo 2, Bolivar 0, and Peñarol 4, the strongest 0. So in summary, over these 8 matches, we saw a total of 16 goals scored, resulting in 5 home wins, 2 draws, and 1 away win. And interestingly enough, no away team scored more than 1 goal. Now you know the scores, let's run through the first legs of the round of 16. And starting in Quadrant 1, San Lorenzo drew with Atletico Mineiro 1-1, in a scoreline that reflected the match. It was an even encounter in which chances were at a premium. San Lorenzo opened the scoring through Alex Cuello. Atletico equalized in the second half through Paulinho, and despite a late surge by San Lorenzo for that decisive second goal, they were unable to find it. And that could prove to be important for the hosts as the tie moves to Belo Horizonte next week. Gremio defeated Fluminense 2-1 in an entertaining match in Curitiba. Fluminense took the lead in the second half on an initial foray into the box that was clear, but Fluminense were able to obtain the second ball, cross the ball back in, and Lima hit it first time inside the far post. Gremio were able to turn around the match through 2 goals in quick succession by Penaldo, first scoring a penalty in the 73rd minute, and then scoring on a free kick from the right flank that eluded everyone, defenders and goalkeeper included, until the ball found the far post netting. Now, in a moment that could prove to be critical for Gremio, Rodrigo Eli, who is a center back, who actually played a really good game, was sent off with a few minutes left to play. That could be a big loss for El Tricolor as the tie moves to Rio next week. In Quadrant 2, Colo-Colo defeated Junior 1-0 in Santiago, in a match that, as expected, proved to be a tight encounter in which goals were at a premium. Junior's closest effort to opening the scores was an effort by Carlos Baca that hit the post just before halftime. Colo-Colo found the winner on their next to last scoring opportunity through Vicente Pizarro. They ultimately had to put in a lot of work for that 1 goal. So the tie remains open as proceedings shift to Colombia next week. It was interesting to see that a number of yellow cards were shown for dissent, no fewer than 4 yellow cards. And in a competition format in which 3 yellow cards result in a 1-match suspension, cards for an incident, as frivolous as dissent could prove to be decisive for either team, whoever advances to the last stage of the competition. In the other match, Talleres fell to River Plate 1-0 in Cordoba. This was an encounter between two teams that were hobbled in different ways. Latay suffered the lack of key players, Ramon Sosa and Ruben Bota, and River had not been playing well up to this point and had actually experienced a change in managers. Martin de Michelis resigned, and Marcelo Gallardo returned to the club. Marcos Portillo made the closest scoring chance for Talleres. His effort brought about a very strong save by Franco Armani. Lucas Suarez for Latay was shown a straight red card at the hour mark. So Talleres had to play the final half hour of the match with 10 men. Paulo Diaz ultimately scored the winner for River with 4 minutes left. Nacho Hernandez's free kick from the left was whipped in, and Diaz connected with either his chin or his chest. It was difficult to figure out which body part he scored with on the replay. If you looked at the data streams from Opta or Data Factory, the body part stated was other. At any rate, it was a legal shot. Guido Herrera got a hand on it, but by that point it was too late. The ball clipped the inside of the near post and fell into the net. And River ultimately left Cordoba with that 1-0 win. And that loss of Lucas Suarez could be very important for Latay as the series shifts to Buenos Aires. In the bottom half of the bracket, Nacional drew with Sao Paulo in a goalless draw. Nacional were the better team in the first half, but the match became more even in the second half. So the tie is all square, and it's all to play for as the series shifts to Brazil. At the Maracanã, Botafogo defeated Palmeiras 2-1. This was an encounter in which all the goals were scored in the first half. Igor Jesus was the key performer for the hosts. He assisted Luis Enrique on the opener, Mauricio equalizing for the Greens 10 minutes later, and then he scored the winner 6 minutes after Palmeiras equalized. Marlon Freitas floated a ball that Igor raced onto, and then he was able to hold off his marker and slot the ball between the goalkeeper's legs from a tie angle. It was a really well-constructed goal and a really classy finish. Botafogo had even more chances to score the third goal. In particular, there was an effort off a corner, but the open header was flashed high over the bar. That could prove to be important as the series shifts to Sao Paulo next week. And following Quadrant 4, Flamengo defeated Club Bolivar 2-0. An encounter in which Bolivar set out to resist for as long as possible and then to limit losses. Luis Araujo scored the early goal for the hosts. Flamengo had a lot more opportunities after that. As I said, Bolivar's priority was to limit their losses and have as few goals to recover from when the tie shifts to La Paz next week. Flamengo were able to break through very late on. Luis Araujo, again, was the key performer, assisting on the goal in the final minute of normal time. Could that ultimately be decisive for Flamengo? Bolivar had a strong home field advantage. When you're playing at 14,000 feet, it's definitely home advantage. So 2 goals at minimum necessary for Flamengo to score tonight. But we'll see as the series shifts to Bolivia next week. In the final encounter of the round, Peñarol defeated the strongest 4-0. Now, this match was an absolute rout. Mañas were on top for the opening whistle. They exhibited very high pressing on the Bolivian club, and the strongest could barely get out of their own end. This is a result that really deserves a deep dive. From the moment of the opening kickoff, a goal by Peñarol was inevitable. And that first goal came as a result of beautiful linkage play along the right flank. There was a cross along the ground from the right side that found Leo Fernandez to score the opening goal. The closest chance that Strongest got to a goal was an Arrasqueta header off a corner. After that, it was one-way traffic by Peñarol. As a matter of fact, after that effort by Strongest, Peñarol went the other way. A high ball from the left flank found Maxi Silveira streaking the box, and his sliding volley redirected the ball past Strongest keeper, Guillermo Vizcarra. Peñarol's third goal was exquisite. It was built up from the back line. The center backs and the right back worked the ball from left to right, looking for an open channel. The ball ultimately got to Leo Fernandez on the right side, and he hit a precise ball right on Jaime Baez's left foot as he was streaking for the box. He slid to the far post, 3-0 to Peñarol at the half. The fourth goal was a cross from the right-hand side that was redirected across the goal and eventually bundled in by Facundo Batista. It was ultimately a 4-0 win for the Mañas that could have easily been 5. There was a chance that was missed. If you looked at the XG for this match, Peñarol were well-deserving 4 goals, and they probably could have gotten 5 or even 6. But no matter what the final result was, this is a scoreline that's going to be very difficult for Strongest to recover when the tie switches to La Paz next week. Leo Fernandez was the star performer by any measure. He scored a goal. He assisted on 2 other goals. His XG was close to 1.5. He was a true all-rounder. He passed at a 91% rate. He took 7 shots, 4 of which were on target. He made at least 5 key passes. He made 6 dribbles, 3 of which were successful. He was 7 of 11 on duels. He made 3 tackles. He made a clearance, an interception, and a blocked shot. So needless to say, SofaScore gave Leo Fernandez a 10 rating, which is extremely rare for them. I think probably one or two players who received a 10 rating in the Libertadores competition this season. So those are the matches from the first leg of the round of 16. And of interest to Atlanta United fans who are listening to this podcast does originate in Atlanta. A significant number of listeners in this audience are, I imagine, Atlanta United fans. There were a number of Atlanta United alumni who participated in Copa Libertadores matches this week. Eric Remedi starred for San Lorenzo and played 45 minutes. Santiago Sosa, who also plays for San Lorenzo, was subbed in, incidentally for Remedi, and played the remainder of the match. Thiago Almada, who recently arrived at Botafogo, started the match and played 70 minutes. And Luis Araujo, starting for Flamengo, was the key performer among the Atlanta United alumni, and he was one of the key performers of this match week. He played the entire match, and he scored 1 goal and 1 assist. So you can find XG maps, flowcharts, and from this round onward, passing network maps for every Libertadores match at Soccermetrics on X. Match day is supplied by Data Factory Latin America. If you want to follow me and send a comment or question, my X handle is @Soccermetrics. You can also send questions or comments to @SoccerDownHere or Jason Longshore @Longshoe. We'll answer your questions about the tournament in a future episode. And we do appreciate your comments as we strive to make this show better. Next week, the round of 16 will wrap up with the second legs. So I'll be back on Monday to preview those matches. This has been the Soccermetrics Copa Libertadores Show, a production of Soccermetrics and Soccer Down Here. See you later. Hasta luego. Até mais.